Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Bullet. This is the weekend edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me for the Weekend Review show today, Tony Simon he's got, and I didn't ask, I should have done this before we went live. Looking over at his screen, I've got Tony Simon, whatever Tony wants here. Tony does diversity shoot. He does a second is for everyone. Tony does a lot of things. Mike Piwowarski, I've got Arms Room Radio underneath him, but I can put whatever you want down there, bud. I can do the read.
That works, sir.
Yeah, I can do. Doggone it, my head is not working. I got all knocked off track. Your weekday show that you do with Craig, that is the rundown.
The rundown.
Yes,
the rundown.
Tony, what do you want under your name?
DiversityShoot.com is fine.
All right. I will get that fixed here right in a jiffy here. All right, there we go. And that gets fixed. I want to remind everybody as we get started, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but I want you to be involved too. If you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and comment on your video there. If you're watching anywhere else other than the Polite Society podcast feed on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and hit Twitter and tweet with the hashtag Bullet Podcast. That actually gets to me the quickest, and I'll get those comments up on the air. And just like people vote in Chicago, I want you to comment early and often.
There you go.
And I got to get social media hooked up here. And turn this on, and one more to turn on. Facebook, of course, lags behind, so. All right, we are all hooked up. And we've already got comments coming in because of my lack of speed in that, but let's go ahead and start off. Before we get into the news story, we've got a relevant question from one of our YouTube guys. Robert wants to know, Tony, did you get your New Jersey carry permit yet?
Not yet.
Okay. You are working on it, I'm assuming.
I will be working on it. I got some things to do, but yes, it will be something that I work on.
Okay.
They're playing games now. We can talk about it once we get into it, but there's reasons.
Okay. All right. Well, I do want to go ahead and get started. Let me go over to my show notes sheet. First story I want to talk about. First two of them are actually stuff that my boss, Alan Gottlieb over at SAF, has done. A Second Amendment Foundation has filed a federal lawsuit challenged California's state's Bill 264, a ban on gun shows held on public property that was passed and signed into law by Governor Newsom. The state has been regulating gun show operations almost out of existence, and more than restrictive brick-and-mortar retail gun shops or even internet sales, explained SAF founder and executive vice president Alan Gottlieb. Now the California Senate Bill 256 amounts to a total deprivation of rights under the color of law, including the First Amendment rights of free speech and freedom of assembly, and the 14th Amendment's equal protection under the law. This lawsuit follows our successful action against the Del Mar Fairgrounds, he added, but the regulatory ban regime now in place in California applies to any gun show on any public property anywhere in the state. What is alarming to us is that Crossroads of the West has followed the rules, so have vendors at their gun shows, yet the state is prohibiting constitutionally protected activities that are common all over the country and are already highly regulated. Like it or not, Gottlieb observed, gun shows are public forums where like-minded people can meet and discuss various issues, engage in firearms sales and purchases, learn about gun safety, and enjoy the camaraderie inherent at such events. Obviously, the defendants don't like that, but they simply cannot violate constitutional rights to satisfy a personal disdain. And yeah, SAF did win a case against the Del Mar Fairgrounds for this exact same thing. I honestly believe that this is going to go the same way that Del Mar lawsuit went. It's just a matter of time, and unfortunately, it's the gun owners in California are going to feel more and more and more isolated while this works through the courts. Tony or Mike, either one of you want to jump in on it?
Well, it's a good thing they're suing. That's great. Hopefully they overturn it because in Jersey they made them illegal. We can't have gun shows here. They did it under the provision that wherever a gun show held, it's temporary, and thereby it's illegal to have retail gun sales at a temporary location. So yeah, fight it. Support SAF in their efforts, or else we say it all the time. What happens in Jersey doesn't stay in Jersey. It goes to other states. Same thing with California and New York. When it comes to restricting your rights, whatever works, they try to double down on in some way and get a win in their state. So, yeah, good luck. I hope they win.
All right. Mike, what do you think, man?
This is first I want to say to the people of California, I apologize. I don't know how you guys put up with these idiots out there. I would head out to find myself that nice conservative judge. We know that California is, about 1/3 strong judges, and that they should be, very friendly to the Second Amendment cause. I would go to them and say, listen, here's a prime example of a fraud, waste, and abuse case. You've got the governor and the speaker of the House here that know 100% that they're filing a frivolous law because it's already been overturned in Del Mar, at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. They know that it's doing this. All they're doing is wasting the state's money trying to annoy those people that want to properly purchase and have their firearms. This is clear case of don't care about you, citizen of California. Going to waste every dime we can of your money because we're going to have to fight this, and we know we're going to have to fight this. I would go after them for fraud, waste, and abuse with a pair of handcuffs.
Yep. I absolutely agree. And again, there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever the outcome of this lawsuit. The
Right.
SAF is
Exactly.
going to win. It's a matter of time. It just
And they know that, right? They know that going into this, and Paul, they don't care. It's not their money. They'll just get some more. They'll just we'll just tax some more people. We'll just get it.
yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't believe they don't know, you're dreaming. They know, and they give zero damns, and have said it, and will continue to use your money to pass laws, and then you have to use your money to fight for your rights against your money.
Yes.
Just stop.
Yes, absolutely. Next story, also SAF story. Second Amendment Foundation and Defense Distributed Incorporated of Texas have filed an injunction in their federal case challenging a New Jersey statute that prohibits the publication of computer files containing digital firearms information in an ongoing legal action. SAF and Defense Distributed are asking the court to set an expedited briefing schedule and resolve their motion promptly. The New Jersey Attorney General is wielding a blatantly unconstitutional speech crime against us, said SAF founder and Executive Vice President Alan Gottlieb, and it's time for this nonsense to stop. New Jersey's strategy has been to deploy evasive tactics to delay court rulings. New Jersey is engaging in prior restraint, causing irreparable harm across the country, and the legal gamesmanship is deliberately designed to increase our litigation costs in what appears to be an effort to discourage us from further pursuit of our case. This one, again, just like the other one, this is a foregone conclusion. The federal government, in the form of the State Department, has determined these files can be out for the world to see, not just the United States. These do not violate ITAR, so says the State Department, the federal government. And by the way, that was a Obama-era decision, not a Trump-era decision. And so New Jersey's Attorney General This started off in the 9th. They moved it. Now it's in the 5th, which, by the way, the 5th Circuit is Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. It's not exactly California, Hawaii, and Oregon. So I'm hopeful this one gets resolved rather quickly.
Tony, you're the New Jersey guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to cut anybody off, but that was our Attorney General Rule or whatever his name was. He's gone now, but they still keep this garbage up. New Jersey is being a pain. New Jersey politicians are being a pain in everybody's butt. I think they're going to be in for a surprise with more and more people getting their carry permits now in New Jersey because of the Bruin case. More people are going to start caring about their Second Amendment rights and start paying attention to this garbage that's happening. And they may start losing some political clout here because now it's people's oxes are getting gored. They're caring about gun laws now on a larger scale than before in New Jersey because, again, the permit, now they care. You better watch your butt because all this bullcrap doesn't count anymore. More and more people with different backgrounds. And when they start elevating their Second Amendment rights above other interests, people like the Attorney General and the governor of the state might have it a little more difficult to push this gun control crap they're trying to push through.
I want to get this comment in from Gun Websites on the YouTube side. He says, "Great advice, Mike. The intentional waste of resources is a great angle. In addition to a publicity campaign to raise awareness about this aspect, they don't waste our time. They abuse our government."
Yeah, it just kills me. And the same thing what's going on in New Jersey with your story we're doing right now. They know. Listen, when you know that this case is being reassigned down to, Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana, fold up your tent and go home. You know you're not going to win it down there, especially now with Bruin out, right? It's gonna fail at some point. You just take your ball and go home, and you got it. You got to give up. You continue to watch, people flee your states, based on the taxes, based on the crime rate, but that's okay with you. It just shows me again and again that the liberal mentality, the Democrat mentality is they don't want to be your government, be your dictators. They want to be your rulers, and they want to set the rules the way they want them, and they don't care about you at all.
I want to get this comment in as well. This one from Robert on the YouTube side. And this is great news. By the way, I received a notice from Amazon that SAF received a $25,000 this quarter from Amazon Smile. Anyone with an Amazon account should make SAF their charity. I totally, absolutely agree. The SAF is among the charities that when you go to smile.amazon.com, you can designate. They get a small percentage of your purchase price. And $25,000 a quarter, that doesn't suck, especially coming from Amazon, which is not exactly a gun friendly or a Second Amendment friendly company. So, yeah, make them give us money. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I know they love it. I know there was resistance to it at one point because they didn't want to be involved with gun stuff, but they're a tax-exempt charity, so they had no choice. They had to take it.
Absolutely. One more legal story, and then we're going to move on off of legal stuff. A Minnesota federal district judge defies the Supreme Court's Bruin decision by applying means and scrutiny and a narrow tailoring to a case involving banning firearms at the Minnesota State Fair. The case involved Reverend Tim Christopher, Sarah Cade Hauptman, and the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus suing the State Agriculture Society after the group chose to ban firearms at the state fair. All the plaintiffs were pro se, and pro se means the plaintiffs represent themselves in court instead of hiring attorneys to litigate the lawsuit. Most pro se lawsuits fail because plaintiffs are unfamiliar with the intricacies of civil law. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. That story off of Ammo Land. I know Sarah. Sarah is an amazing person. She shows up at AmCon and GRPC every year. She is a force of nature. I wish this had went the other way. I'm hopeful that this continues on and they're able to move it forward. I have not been in touch since this story hit. I've not been in touch with anybody at the upper echelon of SAF, so I do not know if that's being looked at, being picked up by us or not. Tony, I'm going to go ahead and let you lead off with comments on this one.
Why did they choose? I mean, was it a financial thing? Is why they chose to be their own attorneys in this particular case, or did they think they had a strong case and they knew the procedures already? I mean, is that why they didn't win on that one? Is like procedural stuff, or
it's
would having
entirely
the
possible. I just found this one this late last night. I not yet heard back. I reached out, but have not yet heard back from Sarah as to why
this
there
is
were
one
no.
of the this is one of the dangers of filing lawsuits, because you kind of set precedent in things like this, and you can mess up future cases. I mean, it sucks because you have the motivation, you know you're right, you know what they're doing is wrong, but once you get into court, it's a different world than normal people right and wrong. It's about the law, and it's not like I'm one of those guys that loves lawyers, but this is their lane, and you need to hire the best you can and work that lane to every advantage you can. And when you don't, you could have things like this that could backfire on the whole community. That's all. I'm not going to poo-poo them, but an L in this could be a bigger L even nationwide.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, first off, this judge using the older types of scrutiny that he was just told in the Bruin not to use is, what do we do with this judge? I wish that we could see the U.S. Marshals being sent over there with contempt of SCOTUS subpoenas and drag that judge back to D.C. and make him sit there and say, why did you ignore what we just told you? Here's the rule book. Here's the playbook you're to use, and you didn't. They should, the judge should be impeached, is what should happen there. I don't know what level of he is, and if there's because certain judges, obviously, we know federal appointments can't be pulled back. But, yeah, that's just ridiculous that the judge would do this. In reference to pro se, we talk about having the right formula to win a case. I think earlier this week, Paul, you and I talked about the Heller case and how Dick Heller was like the sixth or seventh named person on there, and they dropped the others because he was the right person for that case. He had no previous histories. He was the right background. He did everything he was supposed to do.
Yep.
It was the right formula. In a pro se case, even if you're appealing something at your local city ordinance level, a pro se case is tough because if you go up that appellate chain, you're going to reach a place where it cannot be pro se. Supreme Court does not accept pro se cases. They filed the rule 10, 11 years ago, whatever it was. So, nobody wants to have this case go forward. If they win on the spot, great. But the judge sitting there knows if they appeal, I'm going to win because they're not going to accept a pro se here. So it's tough. I know them also. They're very smart people. But it's not the right formula. It's not going to win. And I worry, that once the case gets thrown out, based on whatever their pleadings were, whatever their merits, just like Tony said, does that hurt somebody else that comes along with a lawyer and wants to use the same argument because it's already been thrown out?
Yeah, I totally, because it does set a level of precedent. The highest level of precedent is a Supreme Court decision, but this sets a precedent in that federal district, and so yeah.
Yes.
All right, Tony, I wanna. This is not in show notes, but you and I talked about it pre-show. There's another judge this one is in New Jersey that is not following the Bruin decision, and basically is saying, I don't care what the Supreme Court says. I'm not going to sign off on any concealed carry permits. Period. You want to tell us about that, bud?
So, of course, all these are conversations had during my events or after my events, private ones, and they were talking about where you can go to get your concealed carry permit uh, approved in New Jersey. And they were naming different counties, and they were like, in Middlesex County, the judge has pretty much stated he is not approving anyone to get their carry permit, regardless of what the Supreme Court says. And you wonder, well, as people who like to say they're law-abiding citizens, many gun owners describe themselves as that. Which law do you abide by? Do you abide by the law of the land, which is the Supreme Court, or do you abide by what a judge who refuses to follow the rules laid down by the Supreme Court, the decisions made down by the Supreme Court? Do you follow those rules? I think it's bullcrap, but I think as gun owners, we need to ask ourselves that question. And also, what do we do when the law doesn't follow the law? We often talk about tyranny and the purpose of the Second Amendment, but when you have someone refusing to follow Supreme Court decision and a state that won't enforce it, like when is tyranny? What is tyranny? When do you stand up? How do you stand up? When do you get involved and how do you get involved? Those are questions that gun owners really need to answer for themselves. And when do you get involved? Just paying a fee, to be a member of something kind of isn't enough anymore. Truthfully, it was never enough. And we have to stand up 2022 when the Supreme Court and even states are ruling on our side for gun owners. You still have people like this judge, because all he is a person, that is standing in defiance of the law of the land. What are you going to do about it? I'm not suggesting anything except people get active, start caring more, start being politically active, and make a difference. Show up and use your power of all the rest of the amendments to actually get rid of pieces of trash like this guy.
And I just looked up. I looked on Google Maps to find Middlesex County, New Jersey. That is East Brunswick, Sayreville, Edison, Metuchen, Perth Amboy, and South Amboy. Right. I mean, basically, it's if there weren't a river, it's New York City West.
It's the home of Rutgers.
Yeah.
Rutgers University is here. Robert Wood Johnson is here. Johnson & Johnson used to be headquartered here. And again, it's like 30 minutes away from New York City. So it's a big area. It's a prosperous area. And it's a very blue area.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I do have to say that I love your South Dakota pronunciation of New Jersey cities. That's impressive. That's
I was leaving it alone.
South Dakota truck driver, man.
It's Metuchen, but nobody outside of Jersey can pronounce that word.
All right, I'll go with that. Right. Pronounce the capital of South Dakota. Pronounce the state capital of South Dakota.
South Dakota City.
No. Well, you don't even know the name.
I'm sorry.
It's spelled Pierre. Pronounce it once.
It's Pierre.
Huh.
Well, you guys can be wrong too. It's all right.
Let's. Speaking to that specific story, Robert on the YouTube side says that judge is exposing himself to personal liability. The role of the judge in New Jersey's permit process is administrative, not judicial, so he can be held personally liable.
Tony, go ahead. Go ahead, Tony.
That does not, you might be true as far as the law is concerned, but when you have to have the law enforce the law, not happening. New Jersey law, even with our firearms ID cards, have 30 days to approve you or reject you, and Jersey City's mayor brags about it taking a year to get an approval. New Jersey delays your rights in the face of the law continually, and nothing is done about it. Who do you call when the police are lying to you? When the police contact you and say, hey, your references never got back to us, that's why your permit is delayed, when you know they're lying. I've gotten those phone calls, and I know the law, and I showed up. They told me, okay, minimum 30 days. I showed up every Monday morning. Hey, you got it approved yet? They got tired of seeing me by week 4. I got it approved immediately. That's the kind of harassment you have to do, but you also have to be prepared for them to be petty and vengeful and just hold up your stuff because they can. They did that to me again when I went for my last permits. They told me, oh, it says here you got arrested in 1994. You need to clarify that and send us paperwork. I said, this is my 8th pistol purchase permit. Whatever paperwork you use for the other 7, you can use for this one. Have a good day.
Yep.
I got the approval the next day. But yeah, they break the law all the time.
Yeah. The denial part is the burden on them, not on you. Yet they want you to jump through the hoops to provide them with the paperwork they should have. It's their criminal justice system, Tony, not yours. You know, they're the ones.
Oh, and by the way, my arrest was possession of burglary tools. I'm a locksmith.
Oh, all righty then.
Yeah, Paul. In reference to the comment, I'm sorry, the previous comment.
Yep.
I can't quote you, New Jersey law like I can some other states, but I know that a judge, even when he's enforcing administrative rules, it's part of his duties. It's something that is written into code. The judge is not out there doing it because he's volunteering. He's doing it because it's been written into, the duties and responsibilities of his office, whether it be criminal, civil, or administrative. And they're going to be covered under, complete immunity there as well, rather than qualified immunity like the law enforcement officers are. But I'm same frustration as Tony again. There's, you got a guy who's lying to it. You got a judge who's not doing his job. He's ignoring what the Supreme Court just said, just like the Minnesota judge. And I don't know, I'm in a cuff him and stuff him kind of mood today, but I'm not going to be happy until they put cuffs on him. Go find yourself a conservative judge. There's one in the state, the same way that the Obama administration did to get, after Obama's judge friend, they did during the Trump administration out there in Hawaii. Anytime they wanted to stop something, went and got old Obama's former college roommate and got him to sign off on the warrants. There's got to be a conservative judge there in New Jersey somewhere that wants to make his bones. I'm not saying it's a possible thing to get done. Not in New Jersey. I'm sitting 1,000 miles south of you, but let me know what I can do to help. Let me know.
Yeah. We have a few judges that are signing off on things like 100%, and that's great. But it's like, all right, well, how do I put my permit paperwork in that county if I don't live in it?
Right. No, what I'm saying is you go to that judge with a case of malfeasance and have him sign the warrant for the other judge's arrest.
Oh, all right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see ANJRPC has a response team.
Yep.
Now, ANJR... Go ahead.
And I want to get one more comment in because you followed up with that'll be a federal violation of rights suits, not state.
Yeah, it will be. ANJRPC is New Jersey's state chapter of the NRA, and they handle a lot of cases. Actually, they were in on the New York. They filled out, I forgot the legal terms, but they helped out with the Bruin case. Also, they've been on a bunch of other lawsuits with the rest of New Jersey's Second Amendment advocacy groups. It is frustrating, because you have limited funds when it comes to lawsuits and filing them, and you have to make sure the win you get actually is more than just one individual and can include a lot of individuals. The juice has to be worth the squeeze for organizations. That's why when people ask, well, I don't live in New Jersey, what can I do? I'm like, you can join or donate to New Jersey organizations, man. We're going to need that money because we're in a place that they're going to fight the Bruin decision on every level. And they have to be beat down because, again, it's the law of the land. And you're going to have to sue them. It's just, you're going to have to sue your own government to get your civil rights. The fight never ends.
Yeah,
Open
it is,
secret.
It is about money, folks. It's about needing the money, and I'm a donor and member of NJ2AS up there. And I live again 1,000 miles away, and I never plan on going back to New Jersey unless I'm on a plane and it's going down. But that's it.
Open secret. I am on the Polite Society podcast side. We are sponsored by CNJFO. And I totally and completely endorse them. I have in the past had a have in the past had a relationship with NJ2AS. But yes, if you live in a free state, please help out New Jersey if you can. Please help out, California Second Amendment causes if you can. Please help out New York Second Amendment causes. There's areas where we face challenges, and there's areas where we are winning, and we're winning big time. And where we
It's
need to be
battleground
focusing
states.
yeah.
It's battleground states out there, and I understand it sounds like telethons, man, and people always asking for your money. So one of the ways you can help with that is to do things like through Amazon Smile, where it's not costing you anything, but you're supporting one of the battleground states. And again, NJ2AS, ANJRPC, and CNJFO are the heavy lifters in the state of New Jersey. So if you want to help, yeah, sign up for something like that. Maybe even join one of those organizations just so your membership dues help in the fight. You can do things. I don't know who's on Brownells or who has a thing through Brownells, but they might have it on their websites. So check and find out passive ways you can actually donate to these organizations. But again, it helps in the fight. And it is about money. And I think a lot of us have been burned by 2A groups asking for the money and then not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Totally get it. Totally get it. But there are people in the fight that fight the good fight, and they need your help. And these 3 groups do that in the state of New Jersey. So if you can help, please do.
Yeah, I've heard the comments before. Well, why do I want to give my money to New Jersey? It's a lost cause. Nothing's going to happen. They're never going to win. Well, they're never going to win without the money. And I'll just say this: Bruin came out of New York. They were a lost cause. Heller came out of D.C. That was a lost cause. And McDonald came out of Chicago. All 3 areas, worthless causes for Second Amendment rights. Never thought it was going to happen. But it was those money and those attorneys and those organizations that did make it happen.
That's where the fights come from. You don't hear about, the Second Amendment group in Minnesota fighting something in the Supreme Court. Why? Because they have strong 2A rights in those states. It's always, as Anthony Calandro says, excuse me, it's a lot of times, like Anthony Calandro says, behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
It's behind the Iron Curtain where the fights come from.
I'm going to say that's Minnesota and Florida are about equal. Minnesota can do better.
I thought the Iron Curtain is where the Steelers played. What is that?
I don't play.
No, you're thinking the Steel Tutu or the.
Oh, no, gotcha. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Hey man, calm down. Remember, I gotta act like I'm a Steelers fan. I'm looking at a house tomorrow. Hopefully, the guy has his whole house painted in Steeler colors. Their house is yellow with black trim. I am hoping so many people are turned off by that house that I can get it under market value. Yeah. I told my wife,
Bradshaw jersey. Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, where's Roethlisberger or something plays for that?
Yep. Wow. Just make sure you save enough money in the purchase for paint.
My wife says she'll draw sunflowers on the side of the house. She'll just make it a garden theme. She doesn't care.
All right. I want to move on to this one. We're heavy anti-rights starting off the show today. Another California story. In September 2021, Gavin Newsom signed AB 173, which allows for the disclosure of highly sensitive information, including a gun owner's name, address, place of birth, phone number, occupation, driver's license or ID number, race, sex, height, weight, hair color, eye color, even their social security number, and types of firearms they own to universities and any bona fide research institute. In practice, the legislation encourages the sharing of this personal information with anti-gun organizations that have little incentive to safeguard the data. In January, NRA ILA filed a lawsuit challenging the law. More recently, California has demonstrated why this type of detailed gun owner data shouldn't be kept at all. On June 27th, California Attorney General Bob Bonta announced the launch of the California Department of Justice Firearms Dashboard Portal. The data tool was designed to give granular firearm transaction and concealed carry weapons permit holder data to anyone visiting the DOJ's website. However, astute users quickly realized that the dashboard could be used to access the personally identifying information of California CCW holders, including date of birth, full name, and address, basically allowing you to totally, it's a identity thief's dream. What I'm going to just kind of condense the rest of this down. Now what's come out is UC Davis says that by getting into this data, they can now tell who's going to commit suicide or commit a crime with their firearm. And so UC Davis basically is creating a pre-crime department. And they're saying they know who's going to do bad things with their guns, so now we should be able to go in and preemptively take them away. This is why that stuff should never have happened in the first place, and all gun registries should be totally banned and outlawed.
Yeah, great. A free crime department. Make sure I don't go to California now either. That's yeah. Wonderful. We started the story talking about California. Started the show talking about California. It's the same thing. This is they know this is pushing us, right? They know what they're doing. We've seen them try to bully people and hope. And we know they're doing it. We know they're hoping for another shooting so they can go react and put children on stage and sign bills and executive orders and do all of that. Well, I don't know if they realize that they're pushing, the everyday citizen as well. They're pushing the policymakers. They're pushing those that are trying to help secure those Second Amendment rights. It's not going to be a good day for them in the end when all this comes. And that's no threat of physical violence or anything like that. I'm just saying it's you can only ignore the rule of law so much before somebody smacks you in the head with the law book, and you lose your ass. They're getting closer every day. Well, next thing we'll know, they'll be serving search warrants on a former president's house, right?
Yeah, that'll never happen.
No, never.
We've said it. A lot of us have, and people call it conspiracy theories. They are coming for your guns in every way possible. It's a cultural war. They want to attack us on every single level possible. They accidentally released this information. Yeah. Like they accidentally did it in New York. There are no accidents. I've been, what do you call that? Doxed. I've been doxed. They've taken a picture of my vehicle with my license plates and posted it on their little anti-gun website. I'm like, I don't know what you think you're doing, but it's not going to work out like you think. I just please don't come knock on my door. But as firearms owners, we have to be aware there is a war. I don't care what your brother-in-law says at the dinner table. It's concerted effort, and we have to be aware of it, and we have to fight back against it, because people will say things like, "Well, it's just common sense." It's not common sense, because they're never honest with what they want. They're never coming from a good place. There's no good faith argument. Their entire purpose is civilian disarmament. So anything that says common sense as far as gun control or firearm safety, no. Just no. Not from those people.
Prior to Valentine's Day a couple of years ago at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting down there in Parkland, Florida, politicians would never say they wanted to come for all your guns. It was, we want to restrict this. We want to get rid of remember the Saturday night specials in New York and in New Jersey. Remember, Tony? Had to get rid of those. We couldn't have those anymore. Then we went to assault weapon ban, and now we're trying to take them from state to state. And it was always, we don't want your guns. We're going to you could still hunt. You could still target shoot. We don't want all your guns. We just want to make it a little safer and take these. I don't know if anybody's ever said this before, but that David Hogue kid, right? The one that stood up down there that wasn't really there and got to be the spokesman for them. He was the first one on their side that said, we want to take all your guns. And now everybody's there. We know the Biden's saying it. How many times we have to hear Beto say it? They're coming for everything. So I got to credit that ignorant kid for saying that, because it's out in the open now. And I think everybody sees they're not just coming trying to take my my Spa's 12 because it's evil looking and I shouldn't be hunting with it, according to them. They want all the guns, every one of them.
Oh, David Hogg, I think when he said that, he was a canary in the mine. They sent him out because he was expendable, and he said it, and he got roasted and dragged online, but there wasn't this pushback that they usually receive, so then the others can pile up. But the whole thing is moving the Overton window. Just they keep going extreme, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. It's common sense. Oh well, why does anyone need that? Like talking about the bullet wounds in children in Uvalde, and I'm like, if the cop would have taken a shot in the parking lot instead of asking for permission, there would have been no bullet wounds in Uvalde. So your government failed you before the guy ever got into the school. So please don't tell me what bullet wounds look like when they hit children, and try to use that as some reason that I'm going to give up my civil rights to a government that could not stop the mass shooter in the parking lot. And again, as a locksmith for the last, I don't even want to talk about it, multiple decades, the lock on your school did not fail. That door was left open. How am I sure? Because I've installed those in schools across this state, and they rarely fail, and the minute they go down, they get locked and not used from the outside. That gets taken care of right away in 2022. You don't leave a door open that you can open it from the outside when it's closed. They're lying to you if they tell you anything else.
Absolutely.
Sorry, and no, this is not like the lock on your house. The locks on school are at a much higher level of use and abuse than anything on your home and on your business. These things work. They're built heavy duty, and it didn't just go down and it was broken that day. State failed stopping the kid from getting into school, stopping this guy from even getting out of the parking lot. So don't tell me about child's wounds when the government itself, who you're telling me to disarm and leave the only armed entity in the country, failed. Sorry, I got on that rant.
Mike, you were getting ready to come up with a response.
Ooh, what?
You were getting ready to come up with a response for that.
Yeah, sure. While we've had this conversation, I'm a physical security specialist, a government physical security specialist in one of my past lives. I'm nowhere near, I'm sure, the locksmith that Tony is, but I've been to locksmith school. They sent me to that. And I can't tell you, don't have the time to tell you all the stuff I've done. But if that door was open, it's because it was left open, or it was propped open, or somebody put a rock in it because they didn't want to walk around, or somebody went out for a smoke break and it was propped to the side. Those doors are not left open. It mechanically failed. It just blew. Whatever happened. Now there's going to be somebody at fault there, and or it's going to be covered up, and you're never going to know about it.
Yep. Absolutely. And I agree with. I want to go back to that Overton window that Tony mentioned, and that is so true. We need to make it so that on our end, I want the 1934 Gun Control Act and everything that follows to go away. Period. And I want that next week. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about just getting rid of the 1968 Gun Control Act. We'll talk about just getting rid of the Hughes Amendment. That's a good first step for getting there. We'll compromise. We'll keep the 1934 Gun Control Act, but the Hughes Amendment and the 64 Gun Control Act go away for now.
Right. Well, the compromise is you take Hughes. The compromise is you take Hughes this year, and then the Gun Control Act next year, and then we'll take the NFA Act the next year. That's the compromise. Yeah, we do suppressors. Like I'm willing to dip toes in this water if it's an actual compromise. And my compromise. Listen, my end goal is again, all gun laws are racist. All gun laws are just about control. They're not about safety. All gun laws need to be getting rid of. So my whole thing is yes, you should be able to purchase a gun just like you purchased anything in 1933 through the mail, Amazon delivery. That's where I'm at. That's my end point. Amazon delivers your firearm and the government supplements your ammo, especially if you take classes. And you get the right gun purchases off at the end of the year.
Yes. Absolutely. Because if I own 2 M60 machine guns, that's one less the government has to buy. So I'm saving the government money.
You should get a bonus back for that. Well,
Yes.
you get a percentage check back for saving them money, right? When you,
You know,
when you report fraud, waste, and abuse, you get a bonus check. You should get money back.
then
Again, that's my Overton window.
well, I even want to go. I'm serious in that. I make light of this all the time. I'm serious in that I'm not in a financial position to do it now, but I would love to be the owner of an M1 Abrams tank. I would love to be the owner of an F-35 Lightning II. I would love to be the owner of the elite of the elite of military hardware, the absolute top of the line. And I honestly believe the Second Amendment gives us the right to own that. With that right comes responsibility that it's used correctly, but we do have the right to own that. I honestly believe that.
100%.
Let me get a couple. Robert's got a couple great comments in here. Let me get these in real quick. Robert says we're doing this incrementally, just like we lost our rights. That's what Tony and I were bantering about. He says, but we aren't going to compromise. There was no compromise when they violated our rights. You know, to a point, though, Robert, there was. In reality, they were going after them all the time. They just took a little piece, and that's how we're getting them back, a little piece. We didn't get out of the Supreme Court. We did not get constitutional carry throughout the nation. We got reality.
Not this term.
Yeah, no, exactly. In reality, what we got is New Jersey's issuing a few permits. New York is gonna kind of issue some permits, but they're not going to be good most places. Hawaii's about the same thing. Next, we're going to have to wait for the next few cases to get through to solidify that. We're going to get them back. My belief is mostly through the courts, and we're getting them back a little at a time, just like we did. We lost them a little at a time. That's my opinion. That's why I generally don't like to be a pitch man, but it is so super important that you belong to the SAF. There is including the NRA, there's no Second Amendment organization that has the track record in the courts that the SAF does. SAF kicks behind in the courts better than anybody else. And for $15 a year or $150 for a lifetime membership, your money goes a long way in helping fight those legal battles. SAF.org/join to become a member.
It's not a little number, folks. It's 80%. 80% of all major changes through legal battles that have been fought and won at the Second Amendment level have come from the Second Amendment Foundation. 80%. And this is Alan Gottlieb, the bow tie gun guy, him and his staff up there in Bellevue, Washington. Compared to the NRA, it's amazing what this organization has done compared to that powerhouse of the NRA. 80% is of those cases around the country are from SAF.
And again,
go ahead, Tony.
Go ahead. Look, pay it. Pay your fees if you can join. Definitely do it. But participate on a local level in your politics locally, so it never gets to the SAF. Remember, it has to become law before SAF can deal with it. SAF can deal with it. So please, if you fight it on the local level, it never becomes law. That's a win.
Yep.
That's a win. So, yes, donate to awesome organizations like the SAF, but participate politically locally, so at least they're not needed in your state.
I couldn't agree more. I want to. We're coming up. We only got less than 12 minutes left. I want. There are two stories I really want to cover, so we're going to keep discussion a little short on them. Oregon has, under ballot measure 114 coming up for a vote this fall, you could literally wait forever for permission to purchase a home defensive firearm. This measure requires a class with live fire training before a person can apply for a permit to purchase a firearm. There are virtually no facilities that will be available for this training. For first-time gun buyers, this could well require you have a gun before you get a permit to buy a gun. The measure only allows those approved by police to provide the required training to apply for a permit. Police in Oregon are underfunded and understaffed, and there is no plan in place to actually provide any training, and virtually no police have the facilities or manpower to provide classes. Police in urban areas are already not responding to most violent crimes, and rural areas are spread thin and rarely have facilities for those required classes. The permitting agent can demand any additional information to issue the permit, opening up endless opportunities for abuses. Oregon State Sheriff's Association has estimated that if a person somehow could complete the required training, the permitting process would cost the sheriffs almost $40 million annually. There's nothing in the measure that provides any funding, and the fees included would not come close to covering the costs. The estimate of cost to local police is $51.2 million the first year and $47.5 million in subsequent years. The anticipated revenue is only $19.5 million. The sponsors of the measure have no option to pay for it. That again is on ballot measure 114 in Oregon. And if this thing passes, basically Oregon, if you've got a concealed carry permit, it'll be good until it expires, and then it's done.
You're screwed.
Yeah. And if you want to buy a gun, if you don't already have one, move to Idaho for a year. Then move back with your gun. That's going to be your only option.
All right. Welcome to the New Jersey mentality when it comes to lawmakers. That's what they do. They set you up to fail. That's the whole point. So if you live in that state, you live in Oregon, you need to find out who the sponsors were and be active, slamming them on your social media and making people aware of it. If you freaking showing me pictures of your damn lunch every day of the week, you should be hitting me up with information on these sponsors when it comes close to primary time or even election time, and letting people know that they're trying to take away your rights, and not only by rights, but by finances. They're financially irresponsible because they're not helping gun control if they're not allowing it to actually take place. It doesn't run through the police. So what you're going to do is force people to do things that aren't within the confines of the law and carry to protect themselves. So now you're just opening up confrontation between armed citizens who don't have license to carry and law enforcement. So you're endangering everybody when you pass stupid laws like this. And you need to attack it from that frame of reference as a gun owner in your social circles. Even to your friends that are pro-gun control, go, this is not really helping out anybody. It endangers everyone.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think, bud?
Yeah, listen, elections have consequences, right? You elect these idiots as they come into your state. Oregon used to be this conservative state and a nice libertarian state where just wanted to be left alone. Well, now they're flooding south from Seattle and north from California, and look what you're stuck with. They move to your state and don't want you to have your guns. All right. You need to mount the campaigns. You need to get rid of these people, because they're committing, I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, unconstitutional acts. And I won't be happy until judges and politicians have the same qualified immunity that law enforcement does. We'll leave you alone as long as you don't break the law or violate the Constitution. You start doing that, then we got problems like you're doing now.
Yep.
Agree.
One more story that I want to cover today. I've got more stories in show notes, but we're pretty much only, I think, going to have time for this one. And by the way, I'm sorry, Tony, I did not get pictures of my lunch for you today. I just totally forgot. It was pizza from yesterday. Yeah, it just reheated.
Oh, okay.
But Texas, the Texas has a lawsuit going, and there other states have done this. If it's, speaking of suppressors, if it's built in Texas, sold in Texas, not exported from Texas, then interstate commerce should not apply, is their lawsuit. Kansas tried this. Kansas had a law that said this, and the federal government came in anyway, and there are a couple people spending time in prison for not paying the $200 Mother May I stamp to the ATF for their suppressors. I hope Texas is real. I hope they're successful in this. I don't know why suppressors are an NFA item anyway. They do nothing but promote safety. Speaking as somebody who's got pretty significant hearing loss from a lifetime around rock and roll, race cars, and firearms, suppressors just make sense. I don't know why you have to pay $200 and wait a year, which is it's 9 months to a year for your to be able to go pick the thing up, but that's the way the federal government wants it. I just really hope this is successful. Tony, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
The excuse they used back in the day was it was to prevent poaching. That was the lie they told then. Now, of course, it's assassins because that's assassins. Those are your anti-gun people that watch too many movies and television shows, and they think that's how mob hits are done or something. So yeah, it's ridiculous. NFA, I mean that shouldn't have been on the NFA. We should have done something with the Hearing Protection Act, but again, that was dependent on politicians, and they didn't do their jobs. And this was Republican politicians that didn't do their jobs. Trust no politician with your civil rights, regardless of their party. No one has a dog in a fight like you do. So that should be next. Who knows? Maybe there's a lawsuit somewhere along the way to get that taken care of. Maybe Texas can win this. I wish them luck.
All right, Mike, what do you think, man?
Yeah, nailed it on the head. Listen, the silencers were added to the NFA because of the movies, because of assassins and snipers killing people. It's ridiculous. Anybody that's ever been around a suppressor or done 2 seconds worth of knowledge knows all it does is remove it from hearing damage level to non-hearing damage level. It's still as loud as anything you can get out of. There is no such thing as a silencer. You have suppressors, is what they do. They tone it down just a little bit for you. It's ridiculous, and we should get rid of it. But you know what? In the meantime, I think I might move to Texas and get me a Texas suppressor because come at me, bro.
Love the attitude. Love the attitude. You get a couple of comments, and we've got a lot of comments. Unfortunately, I've been looking a lot at show notes and not so much at comments coming in. I've got a backlog of comments we got to get to, but. Robert, speaking of suppressors, are easily obtained and even encouraged in Europe, and I believe in some areas of Europe. I cannot speak to this personally. I've never toured Europe, but there are some areas in Europe I've been told they are required that you're in trouble if you have a firearm and you fire it. You do not have a suppressor on it.
The big large part is to get that firearm, whatever country you happen to be in, and then when you get those firearms, you're expected to have the suppressor on it. And listen, in England, if you get a firearm, the opportunity to get a firearm, the suppressors you can go get at the hardware store, like your Ace Hardware kind of place. Now, they're not as they don't make them as perfect as a brand new metal baffled one here. They're a lot more like the thinner style oil can conversions, but they expect you to use it to follow the noise ordinances. It's part of being a firearm owner in Europe.
Well, and we have Silencer Central, who has their world headquarters is actually about 7 minutes that direction from me. They're not very far away. Their home offices are here in Sioux Falls, about 1.5 miles from where I'm sitting right now. But their claim, and I believe them very much, is that on certain firearms and many calibers, suppressors increase the accuracy and velocity of your rifle. And so I've
seen that on some instances. I've actually seen YouTube videos about that because I live in Jersey, so I can't have one. I can't have one. So when I do events in Pennsylvania, is the time that I'm able to actually shoot suppressed firearms. It's ridiculous. A river separates me from the ability to own a suppressor. and as someone that introduces people to firearms, you know how great that is. If I could have a line of suppressed firearms to take away the flinch that a lot of these people have because this is the first time they ever touched a gun. I mean, look,
Oh
my
yeah.
guys are great. My guys are great, and I have volunteers come through and help all the time. And when you're firing handguns on the line, it's one thing, but every now and again, I have a volunteer come in with like a 308 in an indoor range. Um, yeah, you're going to flinch, and I don't care who you are when the 308 goes off unexpectedly next to you as you're shooting a 22 firearm for the first time in your life. So, yeah, dude, it suppresses is just a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking, Mike,
Paul Ryan's fault.
I'm
We'd had
just
him.
thinking, Mike,
We'd
you and
had him.
I have done the Rick Ector's shoot up in Detroit. I'm just thinking if we could get, it's a fantastic idea Tony had. If we could get new shooters, such as at Rick's event or at a diversity shoot, with a line of firearms that had suppressors on them, how much easier it would be to introduce these people when they don't think about it. They don't even have to wear hearing protection, so they can hear your voice commands more easily. The communication
Listen,
level
one of
goes
the
up.
first things one of the first things I do when I instruct, I'm sure you guys do it as well. But for those that are out there, when I tell people, listen, as we go into the range and we put our hearing protection on, I'm going to be yelling at you because you're going to be wearing your hearing protection. It's going to be loud, and I want you to always hear me. But how many people today, if you yell at them, they immediately cower down? You have to tell them ahead of the time, I'm going to be yelling at you. And even then, because they're stressed, they still forget the reason you're yelling at them, and they think they're doing badly because you're yelling at them. You're talking with that elevated voice, making sure they hear everything because lives are on the line when that handgun's being loaded, right? So it's if we could get rid of that, we could get rid of that whole portion and have incredible amounts of safety out there because we could make them tolerable to hear and we wouldn't have to scare people yelling at them. People wouldn't misunderstand what we said. It's crap. It's crap. It angers me.
All right. I want to get a couple. We're already over time. I want to get a couple more comments in that I didn't notice earlier, but then we got to get out of here. Gun Websites says a battleship, SAF, wins most of the battles the aircraft carrier, NRA, was not designed to fight. We need the whole Navy, gun community. We need to fight on all fronts, like Tony said. I love the analogy, Pete. I love that analogy.
Yeah, Pete thinks this too, and has started a lot, and he's right. Look, we need the carrot and the stick. We need all organizations. We're being attacked on all fronts. Why aren't we fighting on all fronts?
Yes. And then
That's tactics on our part. That's a failure of tactics on our part, and we really need to change that. Saying there are 5 million people in the NRA is pathetic because there's supposed to be 80 million gun owners. The NRA should be a behemoth. Actually, the NRA shouldn't be necessary if you have 80 million voting age adults. Pretty much, gun control should be political poison if gun owners actually voted for their Second Amendment rights.
it used
If
to
that
be.
took more of a priority, we wouldn't even be having these discussions. I would still be just hanging out with my friends shooting guns if gun control didn't exist. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be an activist.
Let me get this one up. Robert says the next thing SCOTUS should shoot down is a Commerce Clause overreach in justifying legislation. Robert, dude, I'm right there with you, man. I'd rather they go after the Hughes Amendment first, or maybe there are cases we didn't get to them today. There are federal lawsuits right now that are trying to take down the 1934 Gun Control Act, which is the main domino that would knock down the whole shebang. The whole thing would go if 1934 Gun Control Act goes. So, fingers big time crossed for that, but we'll see. All right, let's. I'm sorry, we're still getting comments, but we're already over time. I got to get out of here. Mike's got a radio show he's got to do in just a little bit. Mike, if you would, on the way out the door, man, tell us about Arms Room Radio and anything else you want to plug, bud.
We'll just do that. We're running low on time. Arms Room Radio. Join us at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to armsroomradio.com. You can hear us there or find out what station near you we're on.
All right. Tony, diversity shoot. Second is for everyone. Anything you want to plug? What do you want to move, man?
Second is for everyone diversity shoot. We have them every couple of weeks. Follow me on Simon Says Train on Instagram, and I'll have the post it and a link to them in my bio. Also, in about an hour, we're going to be on Gun Websites podcast, me and Clover Tech, doing a Q&A. And we do that every Saturday around 3 o'clock. So if you want to talk and hear more of my voice, for no reason, you can come by at 3 o'clock. It's a lot of fun to be had. You ask questions, we answer them. I also have the Second is for Everyone podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Very, very cool. Now, do you do classes in Utah?
No, I haven't become as baller as Charlie and can fly out and do Utah classes all the time, but I'll get there one day.
All right. Folks, that is going to do it for us today. Please do come join me again Monday through Friday next week, 5 p.m. Central Time, Saturday, noon Central Time, for more of The Bullet. Thanks for watching, everybody.